I need to think about it. Who has heard that one? Here's the thing that I love teaching this one too, because when people say that, a lot of times we take it at face value because we understand that. We understand that making a decision about spending money and allocating time and doing the work is definitely something to consider. The piece that thinking about it is, how long do we need to think about it? And if you can get them to think out loud about it while they're on the call with you and ask all the questions around that, then they will probably get clear whether or not they need to move forward today or whether it's a yes or a no. So my goal for you is to find out before you get off that call if this is a yes or a no. Any follow-up should be about if they have a special case where they have to break up the payments and wire the money or borrow some from mom or something like that. It's a logistical, we'll get back in touch, but not about, I need to think about whether I want your program. So I usually say, well, what do you need to think about? And these are the common things that come after that one. So there's a lot of common ones under the common ones. Well, I never make a decision on the spot. Have you guys heard that? I always promise my spouse that we'll talk about big, big money commitments together. If I do it, my husband will kill me, things like that. So I asked, I'll give you some examples. So I asked a woman, she told me she needed to think about it, or she said, actually, I have to mull it over. And I said to her, what's to mull? And she started cracking up and she said, Susan, you're good. I said, do you want to work with me so that you can learn how to do that too? And she laughed and she said, yes, let's go. About a month ago, I was enrolling someone and it was for quite a lot of money. And she said, oh boy, I need to think about it. And I said, what do you got to think about? And she said, well, I have to ask my husband because he will have a hissy fit. He will go crazy. And I said, well, how long have you been married? I don't even know why that came out of I just got curious. And she said 37 years. And I said, okay. And I said to her, well, how many hissy fits has he had in 37 years? And she said, we started laughing. And she said, a lot. And then I said to her, I said, are you happily married? And she said, yes. And then she said, oh my gosh, let's just do this. He'll get over it. So I use humor. I use questions that actually call people on their BS, if you know what I mean. Because a lot of these are just kind of, I'm scared. I don't want to spend the money. I don't think I can do this. I don't believe in myself. Every one of them means something else. And then there's always something under each one. These are just the words that you're going to hear, right? So always ask, what is it that you need to think about? Don't be afraid to ask what you're thinking in your head. How many times have you thought something, but you didn't ask it because you felt like you'd be prying or being nosy? Is that true? Ask it. Just ask it nice. Would it be okay with you if I explored? You can always do permission-based. Would it be okay with you if I asked you what you need to think about? Would it be okay if you shared with me why you don't think you can afford this? So just get them to talk. I had asked a woman, she told me she couldn't afford it. And we got to the point where she really, really, really wanted it. And I said to her, well, what are you going to do about that? And she said, I need to think a minute. And I just went quiet. And that's a good thing to do too. Just be quiet. And a couple of minutes went by and she's like, are you still there? I said, yeah, just giving you time. She goes, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, hold on. And she left the phone. It was on a phone call. And she came back and she said, okay, I know. I have a line of credit on my business that I got last year and I never used it and I completely forgot about it. Thanks for giving me the time to run through my options. and she bought, I think, a $20,000 program. If you rush people, they're not going to be able to come up with their own ways to create what they need for them to move forward. And if you tell them how to do it, it's not going to be the way they want to do it. So give people space and ask a lot of questions so that they can get to clarity. Remember, some people call these clarity calls. Well, clarity on whether or not the program is a fit or not.